Hello? This is the most wonderful city on the face of the earth. Is this Liverpool? Well, this is Blondie Cooler. I'm in the
Good evening, good evening, good evening. How the devil are you? What a wonderful day it has been today. I've got very bright lights on my face, which is nobody's going to be able to put up with that all evening. So I'm going to open the phone lines any second now. And we are going to begin this thing that we nicely call, I don't know what on earth is going on. It's like I'm either too bright, it's slightly I don't know what it is, but I am looking like I've got hair like Cindy. So do bear with. I'm just gonna pop that one out so I can still hear. Okay, phone lines are gonna open now. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. Dear men, you want to try your luck? You provide entertainment. We don't mind. We find it hilarious. Oh, better be careful doing up that zip. So the phone lines are going to be open now. I'm going to tell you how to get hold of me. I'm not even going to try anymore with making myself not look like I am a avatar. Sorry about that. So you can call me now. Good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say? That'll be nothing then. Let's try again. That's so weird. Okay. Okay. It seems like I'm binning everyone. Good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. Really good. Just bear with me one moment. I'm just going to find out why you're not coming through where you should be. 1 second. I'm so sorry about this. I had to do all these settings before I came on air. And now that's really weird. Output. Oh, here we go. It's my own stupid fault. I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can.
Right, that's better. Okay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Do you just hate men? Is what I want to know.
Do I hate men?
Do you just? Yeah.
What, you think I hate my own children and my husband?
I think you're a raging lesbian who hates men. Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah,
raging lesbian. Oh, you guys, you
there's
just
a lot of
do you
women that
just
hate men for
do you
no
like
reason.
look, I'm not saying that women have to laugh at you, but and I'm sure it happens all the time, and I'm really sorry for that. But why do you think women who just don't want men in their spaces, why would you think that was hatred?
No, because I've seen a few of your interviews. One of them with James O'Brien, where you have on your channel where
Mhm.
you claim you destroyed James O'Brien when James O'Brien made you look like a fool.
Oh yeah.
The thing is that again, and you've mentioned it a few times on
Mm.
stage, and
On stage.
that
On
men
stage.
are,
On
yeah, no,
stage.
well,
What
your
did you watch
stage,
me
your
in? Was it
stage.
like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers? Maybe another musical? Because I do sing very well. What stage was it?
No, as I said, your sort of stage, your sort of
Oh.
the stage you put yourself on. You know,
Mm.
you're either in a
So let me just ask
bandstand.
you then. Let me just ask you.
Go on, darling.
Do you hate women?
No, no,
So
I
why
don't.
do you
I hate
think
women
why do
that-
you I'm gonna you know what's gonna happen? I will mute you. You do understand
No,
that,
no,
don't
I'm
you?
listening.
Oh, there we go. Look. Oh, let me just do because I've got this because this is my new mansplaining idiot phoning in siren. You ready? There.
A World War
So
II
yeah,
siren.
yeah. Oh, you like history
Yeah,
as
I think you
well.
went was, sorry.
I assumed you were too young to have actually got to that bit at school. So when a woman just says we don't want men in our space, what about that
Yeah.
sounds hateful?
You don't just say that though. Yeah.
Okay, what else do I say?
You say men are
Specific, be specific,
abusers.
be specific.
I am. You said men was abusers.
Which ones?
Um.
The abusive ones are all men.
Mm-mm.
Which
What
ones?
about women that abuse their men?
Okay, you just talked about men. If you're going to make a
Mhm.
if you're going to make a point, you are going to be asked to prove it. So, what did I say specifically? Did I say that some men are abusive or did I say all men are abusers?
On James O'Brien's show, you said all men are abusive.
Don't be so
That's
ridiculous.
when he
That
turned
is
around to
not.
ask
See,
you.
now look, that's my other siren. That's like a quiet, you're lying siren.
Oh, but he asked you, well, what? How would you feel if he was next to you in
Yeah.
the cubicle?
Yeah.
And you said, because you're a man.
No, yeah, because he poses
never
the
explained
same
that
risk
ever.
as all men. Do you want your mother to go in a hospital and when your mum's in hospital feeling not very well, do you want her to have a female only ward? Or would you be okay if just any man that you didn't know at all was also in that ward with your mum?
Well,
Hello?
I've seen my mum in hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and she wasn't in a female only ward. She was in
Okay.
a room by herself,
Oh,
but wasn't in a.
so is she two people? Or was she in a female only ward? I'm just confused because you said she was on her own, but it wasn't female only.
It wasn't female. She was
Right.
in a separate room, but there was a lot of other people. I don't
But she was in
understand
a
your point.
separate room, but she was also with other people.
Yeah, like
Oh.
there was segregated rooms. You see,
Oh, okay. So she wasn't in a
but there
room
was
with other
men in the room
people.
next to her for sure.
So was
A
she in a
man.
room on her own? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she was in a room on her own.
She was in a
but
room on her
there's
own, but
another
she was
room
also next to
her,
men.
And there's a man.
What, in a
There's a
different
room next to her with another door and
yeah.
a wall.
Oh.
Yeah, it's quite simple.
Okay, so she wasn't in a ward with other people then, was she?
Well, I mean, no.
No. Okay. So she was in a room on her own. All right. She was in a ward with many other people, and one of
Yep.
them was a man. Would you be fine with that?
Well, it depends if it's a doctor, if it's an injured person next to him. I don't think someone that that's just had a heart attack.
6,500 sexual assaults in hospitals. Who do you reckon was committing the assaults? Men or women?
Men and women. Men and women.
You think women out of the 6,500, what are you going to stake your, I don't know, voice dropping on? You're going to stake it on how many of those
See,
do you think were men?
Is why
Right, I'm going to move on. I'm going to bid farewell to this very angry little man. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye to you now because no one can hear you. No one can.
Do you have any evidence of 6,500 men?
Oh, are we enjoying that? I'm enjoying that. He's bound to ring back. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I got through.
Hi.
I'm not going to say who I am, but I am in the United States. I'm in Kentucky, and I just wanted to draw attention to how our teachers and our teaching colleges are being taught.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in teaching college right now, and I just started in a master's program. My professor, I don't know if you saw in Kentucky how they had the banning of the care, the alleged gender affirming care, which really harm. But
Yeah.
they had a big protest at the Capitol in Kentucky, and my professor was one of the organizers who brought students from high school to that, and it devolved into a riot essentially. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out, that it's coming from the top down. And I have her recorded during our online classes. I started recording her just in case there was ever, any. I would love to send recordings,
Please
but
do.
there's just, yeah, if I could find like an email for you or something, I'd love to send you those, because it is just utter propaganda that she was spouting to us. And it's really sad because what I'm doing is special ed, and she constantly would talk about how, autistic kids are so likely to be trans and this and that and the other. And instead of understanding as an educator that autism has a symptom of not being at home in your body, she's just sitting there promoting it.
Wow.
So it just blew my mind,
So
But
you're
I
obviously
really,
an intelligent woman who can. Do you think there's a lot of people on your course who are persuaded by her lectures? Do you
oh
think
yeah,
now there's a lot of special ed teachers going into schools who will be assisting children into the lie that they can change sex?
oh yeah, we're being taught to do that. Yeah, 100%. I think most of the people that were in my course did probably agree with her. But that's why I was recording her, because if I would have said anything in the class, I probably would have got kicked out of the program, which is
God.
disgusting. But so the only thing I know to do is the opposite of what they're teaching us to do. I'm sure not everybody in the course, believed what she was saying, but I know a lot of people did, because they would respond and be like, "Oh, it's so awful that
Yeah.
these kids can't get gender affirming care." And she's sitting there talking about how, nobody's going to go in your bathrooms and rape your daughters. And I'm just sitting here like, what about Loudoun County? Happening.
It's so
So
bizarre.
it just shows the propaganda that and I think she's a good person. She thinks she's doing the right thing, but she's so brainwashed. And then all the students that she has, she's trying to brainwash too. And then that's just going to brainwash the younger ones.
And where do you think she's
It's
got it
just
from?
insane.
Do you think she's gone through university maybe not that long ago, and she's also been brainwashed?
Well, she's actually older. I want to say maybe she was in college in the 70s and 80s. So
Jesus Christ.
she's older, and her whole family is teachers. And this is in Kentucky, which is very,
Yeah.
southern, and people think that we're, backwards. And yeah, she got a whole group of students from high school to bring to that rally and organized it. And, it just made me sick, honestly.
I'm not surprised. Do send it. I will put it out on my YouTube and Twitter, and anywhere else. And I also have some nice
I could
contacts
find a
with the
way
press.
to.
I
Yeah, I'll
will
have to
look.
find a way to combine them,
Go
because
to
it's
my
multiple
website.
recordings.
Oh yeah, just do it. I've got an amazing, really super techie, wonderful woman who can just as long as you label them in order, we can put them out in order.
Yeah, because I've got them all recorded, and this is from a class that's over week over week over week, and she's talking about how to do this stuff, how to get these kids brainwashed, and how to organize this, and how to send it to them. And she's just putting them in danger, taking them to that protest anyway. The crazy trans activists were literally going insane. High school kids do not need to be around that.
I mean, how can in my mind, and I'm not going to profess to know anything about autism, but I'm assuming that somebody who's a special ed kind of tutor at college knows what autism is. But from my experience, even just the fact that autistic children are far more likely to spend a lot of their social time alone. They're not going to get the cues from children, so they often feel isolated. And I think in this country, it's about 90 to 95% of all children with an autism diagnosis feel ostracized or bullied at some point in their lives, which is something we don't talk about because we spend too much time talking about LGBT children who feel bullied. And actually, in comparison, the children with autism diagnoses really do suffer in their sort of adolescent years with their peers. But even offering them a way out of that isolation, even without everything else that goes along with an autism diagnosis, would be really appealing, right? Any kid who is finding it difficult to settle in and have friends would find it appealing to escape. It's just awful.
Exactly.
It's just awful.
Yeah, and it's like, they're being targeted, through the internet and everything, and they're, it's literally like a symptom, not feeling at home in your body, and it's this group is just latching onto that. And the teacher, she was like, yeah, most of our kids are, part of the LGBTQ, and it's like, okay, are they really though, or are you, persuading them into that, path? Like, they think it's going to solve their problems. Like, and then also too, other children that just don't fit in. It's, but they're at a higher risk to be, put down that path. And I'm proud of Kentucky for, banning that. They put in law that if any doctors do that, they can lose their license. But, it just made me sad that, my professor went down there to speak and was just, putting out all that propaganda to the future educators. It's just sad.
Yeah, it's just
I
awful.
just wanted to point that out, but I can't believe I got through. I've tried to call for every time you've had a show.
Well done. Really lovely to finally speak to you. And do have a look on the Standing for Women website, and there's email addresses, or get hold of me there. But lovely to talk to you.
Yes, yeah. And if I have to just send them all in separate emails, I'll do that too, and then they can find a way. But
Amazing.
I feel like it just needs to get out there. But you have a great evening. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh my God, have I actually got through?
You've actually got through.
I've been trying for weeks to get through to you. So first, I just want to say thank you for everything that you do. You peaked me a couple of years ago, and now I've peaked my mum very recently as well. So she's a massive TERF.
Well done.
But I was just wanting to say really about Lesbian Visibility Week, and how sort of as a lesbian, it's just so disheartening and disappointing to see Diva magazine, which was once celebrated as a lesbian magazine, promoting men as women, and how disheartening it really is. They're just I have no words. They're top 100 lesbians. Their number one's a man, and I just
number one.
Really, yeah, they're number one.
Shut up. Who is it?
No, I don't know if you've seen the Diva top 100.
Which bloke is it?
I think the number one lesbian is it Merg? I'm going to say their name wrong. Is it Monroe Burgo? I'm not sure who.
Well, he's now. Hang on, he wasn't even a lesbian. I understand that he always called himself bisexual.
Well, this is my point. I just don't understand how a lesbian magazine is promoting and celebrating lesbian visibility with people that aren't lesbians, aren't women. And it's not just Diva, it's sort of every sort of, LGBT outlet, every single one. It's lesbians and their trans allies and their, everything else. And it's just like, what about the actual women who like women?
Oh, you're such a bigot for saying such a terrible thing.
And I also got barred entry very recently from a well-known lesbian bar in London. I think it is the only one, so people will guess where it is. I wasn't there. There was a man on the door. I was there with several other female friends. I was told that we wouldn't be allowed in. I asked why, and he wouldn't give me a reason. He then said that it was important to protect women's spaces, and I was like, right, from actual lesbians and from actual women. And I was like, you do realise you're a man sort of refusing the entry into a lesbian bar? And he was like, well, I'm non-binary. And as a lesbian nowadays, I just think, where can you actually go? And that you don't have to sort of have men in your spaces.
Nowhere is the answer. That's where you can go. You can't even you can't go on a dating app. You can't even you can't even book a room in a pub. It's just for lesbians.
Exactly. And I mean, I've also recently sort of set up a women's group at work. So and I've had to fight to have the language of just having it open to women, and was asked, can it not be open to all women. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Because it's a women's group for women. And then I was told, because I'm not being more inclusive. And I'm like, well, no, because it's a women's group for women. And I just feel like I'm living in an insane world right now.
I think, right, somebody mentioned this today, and I've said for a long time, I think the Equality Act is not fit for purpose, and I want it completely scrapped. I've often said, I think we need different acts for different things, right? We need a Women's Act, I think that would be appropriate, and we need an act to ensure that people with disabilities are protected, because I think that when it comes to certain situations, you know, if you are an equal opportunities employer and you have no access for anybody with disabilities to work in your to work anywhere in your company, and you've got a massive company, then I do think that there should be some protections for people to enable them to use public transport and all these sorts of things if you've got disabilities, right? When it comes to women, I sort of think if we had a Women's Act instead of an Equality Act, and that protected women, and actually you wouldn't need to say to women necessarily, right, this is a lesbian only night, therefore you other women can't come in, because most women, I would damn well hope, although probably would need law, most women would be respectful in thinking, actually those women deserve a night to themselves, we're going to leave them alone, this is a lesbian only night. But I also think that what the Equality Act does is it says you can have this, but you've got to justify why it's necessary. And I think it should be the other way round. It should be a lesbian only night is a lesbian only night. And if you want to change that and you want to be somebody outside of a lesbian, i.e. female homosexual, then you have to justify why you should be in that group. Like, that's how I think it should work. It seems quite ridiculous that I would have to think of some really good, solid, justifiable in a court of law reasons, which, let's face it, these days, I don't even know what would be justifiable in a court of law. About why a lesbian, you know, just to say, well, actually, lesbians have a culture often without men. They want to go and spend time with just women. They want to go and date just women. They want a time where they can meet just women and have a culture outside of kind of heterosexual coupling sort of society. I don't think that would even stand up anymore. In fact, we know it doesn't. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you just put into Google, like, lesbian nights in the UK, every single one that there is out there, you'll see, like, you know, pictures of men on the posters, and it's open to queer, non-binary, and it's like, that isn't a lesbian night then, is it? And
no.
You know, the gay men, you could put in gay men, like gay nights as a comparison, you know, thousands come up every night of the week. And I just think, you know, it just blows my mind that, you know, it's all this lesbian visibility stuff when lesbians really are being erased.
You know what you need to do, don't you? Like, I say this all the time, you have to be the solution. So you and all your lesbian friends and all the lesbians, say, if you live in London, all the lesbians that live in London that are peed off to the back teeth of not having a space, you're going to have to buy one.
And the thing is, it's like, you know, years ago I did run a lesbian night, and now I just don't think I'd be able to do it without opening an area, without getting, you know, like, you know, your events get shut down. I could see similar things happening if you don't allow in men, which is just absolutely.
That's why you buy it. That's why you buy it.
Well,
or you organise like a lesbian festival, and you try and cut out. Like, I try and get rid of anybody in a chain of events that can take away what it is that I want to do. So, I mean, look, I don't know this, but I think you could make an absolute small fortune if you did
I have
lesbian
been
festival.
I've honestly been thinking about this because, you know, in terms of lesbian dating now, there's nothing. Like, you can't, like you say, you can't go online without seeing, you know, a man in a dress or someone proclaiming to be a lesbian that's just self-identifying as one. You can't get into a lesbian bar.
Well, I've got Giggle. I've got Sal Grover. I'm sure it's her that keeps repeatedly calling from Australia. I've got Sal Grover waiting to call in. I know she said on Twitter she was going to call in, and then you just mentioned the dating site. I know Giggle
I
Giggle
know I've
versus
seen
tickle.
her, and I hope she succeeds. It's the lady I'm thinking. It's the one that's been, isn't it, the trans woman that wanted access
Yeah.
to it, and
So it's giggle versus it's tickle versus giggle, or giggle versus tickle. I can't remember, but it is the best named kind of court
fantastic.
thing ever in anybody's life. It
No,
couldn't
if
be
there's
any better.
and I can't wait for your political party because I'm politically homeless right now. So
Well,
I've
why
got-
don't you stand? Would you stand?
I've been honestly saying this to people. I would stand if I could get around it with work. This would be the thing, but I absolutely would stand if I wouldn't face sort of losing my livelihood for it, as it were. So
Well,
yeah, I
look,
absolutely
there's
would.
either MP or there's something smaller that's not quite so like out in your face public, which is like council. And I just think we need to be involved in the conversations. That's all we need. We just
Absolutely.
need to be, in that, when those discussions were going on about trying to erase lesbian culture in this country, if there'd been actually some people willing to stand up for lesbians, then maybe it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But I'm going to make way so she can get back in contact. It's been lovely to speak to you.
And
Keep
you.
doing what you're doing.
All right. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers,
Thanks for
bye.
calling. Bye. I'm pretty sure it's Sal Grover waiting to get through. Dun, dun, dun. I'm a little bit behind, so when I end a call, we're waiting. Good morning. This is Turf Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh, good morning, Kellie-Jay. Good morning from New Zealand.
Good morning.
Good evening in the UK. No, I am so glad to catch up with you. I am one of the people who would have spoken at your event in Auckland if it had gone ahead and if there had been time.
Yeah,
and
sorry.
all I wanted to say was that I approved of Sebastian Coe's announcement to keep men out of women's sport. If you've been through male puberty, you are not qualified to speak. Not qualified to compete in the female category. No hate speech, no Nazi ideas, just a plain scientific-based opinion. And I'm afraid I was late to the event. I didn't see you get pushed away. I only came across the wreckage afterwards because I was running late. And I didn't think it would matter. I was so naive. I thought this would go ahead. There'd be a bit of shouting from the trans activists, but the meeting would proceed. Things have just changed so much that's no longer possible. And it was a shock to me.
Yeah. Because
up until even 5 years ago, you could engage the Greens in a way, you say what you think, they say what they think. It goes to a vote in Parliament. You can have a reasonable discussion. That seems to have just gone now because one of the Green MPs, Chloe Swarbrick, was on TV saying, oh, we're missing a nuanced debate. It's your side, Chloe, that is clamped down on the nuanced debate. Your side doesn't want any debate on this. And that was just a shock to me.
Yeah.
But what's happened since is a positive development. Nadine Strossen from the USA, the free speech advocate for the American Civil Liberties Union, has been here. She got good coverage on most of the networks. So it's starting to have that debate of free speech versus hate speech. But things have got so bad. The minister responsible, the Minister of Justice in New Zealand, still wants to try and bring in hate speech laws. And she's asked on TV, would your hate speech laws have stopped the Christchurch massacre? And she has to be honest and say no. And don't you agree that bad law in this area would be worse than no law? And she has to agree, yes, bad law would be worse than no law. But she's still trying to go ahead with it, which is just crazy.
Well, I watched one of your state media, I think it was, interview the woman from the American Civil Liberties, and he seemed a little bit annoyed that she kept saying, well, no, because you have a right to be heard, and actually if you make too much noise and you prevent someone from speaking, then they don't really have free speech. Or if you intimidate someone, then that's not really exercising your like heckler's veto. That's not part of it. And he was, really, some of these people are very shocked to find out that free speech genuinely means the right to speak.
Free speech, yes. Oh, well, the other very interesting thing was, like I say, most media had it. As you saw, it was on the TV1, the state owned TV company.
Mm.
It made it into the two big privately owned media companies in a small way. The group called Stuff published an interview online with Nadine.
Yeah.
The other big private company had Nadine interviewed on their radio station, but Radio New Zealand, the equivalent of BBC Radio, the state-owned and taxpayer-funded company, did not even mention she was in the country, let alone interview her. Search their website and you find nothing found. They just did not want to know.
Well, they interviewed me. They interviewed me just after the rally, bearing in mind I was still in police protection at the time, and they phoned me. Pretty sure it was them. And they said, how do you feel about that MP who'd been, I don't know, she'd walked out in front of a motorbike or she'd been hit by a bike or something. And I was like, I don't know who you're talking about. I genuinely had no idea that they were supposed to be respectable. I thought RNZ, when I spoke to them, I just assumed they were some sort of like local media, because it was just so unprofessional.
Yes, no, it was dreadful. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say was the other thing that was a shock to me. I realised how far this has gone. I'm doing my shopping at the local supermarket. I'm using the self-checkout. It asks me at the final step of paying, would you like to round up your amount to an even number of dollars to make a donation to Rainbow Youth? And my answer was no, I wouldn't. So I didn't. But then I check online. The supermarket company has already made a donation to Rainbow Youth, as well as encouraging its customers to donate. I think, I don't want to shop with this chain anymore, but I checked the other chain. We only have two in New Zealand, and they're both the same. They're both behind Rainbow Youth. I can't buy my groceries without supporting a company that supports Rainbow Youth.
God, that's so bad. And your groceries are damn expensive. Your groceries are very expensive.
Well, that's part of the reason, because that's part of the reason we have a duopoly. One last thing, Kellie-Jay, but just to update you if you hadn't heard already, the thug who attacked the 70-year-old woman has been found and charged with assault.
Amazing.
No more details in the press now, because now he's been arrested and charges before the courts, and the discussion should stop because of that. But yes, there was enough pressure. The police police did have to arrest him and charge him. I hope he goes down for a long time myself.
Yeah, well, I will refrain from too many comments, but I think anybody who punches somebody repeatedly in the face, certainly a woman who's a lot older, deserves the full force of the law, and I hope is appropriately punished. But thank you so much for calling. It was really lovely to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. Like I say, I wish it had gone better. I wish I'd been able to meet you in person and say my brief thing at the event.
Oh, me too.
Not possible, but now we go for the fight for free speech is on, and we do our best on that.
Absolutely.
Thank you again for everything.
You're very welcome. Nice to talk to you. Bye-bye. Good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hi, Kelly. Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm very distressed to see what's happened to you in New Zealand and places like that. You do not deserve this. You're an absolute champion.
Well, thank you very much.
But I've come up with a couple of ideas. I don't know what you think about them, but I thought I'd run them by you and see what you think. Basically, I'm really annoyed about being called cisgendered. I am not cisgendered. I'm a man.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a cisgendered woman. There's women. That's it.
That's true.
So, but if they want to play this game and they want to label us, right? We destroy cis, and there's transgender, and there's true gender. So we label ourselves as true gender.
Well, if you would like to do that, that's entirely up to you. But I don't actually use the word gender at all, because I think we are just our biological sex. But yeah, I like your style. And what was your other idea?
Yeah, basically, it's about the use of toilets, and it's the use of access. It's the access for women only for women's sports. which I'm a bit disgusted about Megan Rapinoe, because she's retired and she's pushing for trans people to be in women's sports.
Yeah.
And it won't affect her, will it? Because she's
No.
retired now.
Is that the footballer?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Shameful.
with the purple hair.
Yeah.
Basically, if I want to play games, we redefine it into toilets for people with penises, toilets for people with vaginas. So if you've got a penis, doesn't matter what you're dressed as, doesn't matter what you look like, you go into that bathroom and you leave all the people who haven't got penises in. They have their own separate bathroom, and also the same with sport. You have instead of men's and women's division, you have people with penises from birth division and people with vaginas from birth division.
Oh my God!
I know
Can
that
you
might
just
be a bit of a mouthful at the Olympics.
I want you to imagine it's the 100-meter final of the men's final. And we're now going along with what you say, and they go, right, they've just taken their, they've just stepped forward for the people with penises 100-meter final.
Exactly. It would be a mouthful. But I mean, the basic thinking behind it is if they want to be ridiculous, be ridiculous back to them.
Well,
You know,
look, I love your ideas,
I mean.
and for super comedy, I think that's wonderful. But I honestly think I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up the word woman.
No.
You know,
I mean, it wouldn't be like if they want to call themselves trans women, you call yourself true women. If you see what I mean.
well, I'm just going to go with women, but
No, that's fair.
I'm delighted that you're thinking outside the box and in a variety of ways to win this. And look, I'm not going to lie. If suddenly we had the people with penises 200-meter relay, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't enjoy hearing sensible people saying that over and over. So you know, keep them coming.
And I've just got one. I'll leave you with one quick song.
Go on. Oh, I think I just ended that call. I'm so sorry. Hello, good evening. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was so rude. I do apologize. Good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hi, Kelly. It's Lindsay here. I spoke at the event in Newcastle.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi. And I'm coming down to London with two of my friends that I met at Newcastle. So that's all very exciting.
Very exciting.
And what I'm ringing about is the lady who spoke earlier about all the things that's happened. No, not just now, Jack. Sorry, my child's just come downstairs. Off you go. Sorry about this. My son is at a special needs school, and that's here in the UK. And it's happening. It's really, truly happening where they are sort of pushing this agenda to these autistic children. It's happening here as well, not just in America. Is really what I was wanting to say.
I have heard about that. How is it? How do you deal with it, Lindsay? Like, is it happening? Has it happened in your son's school?
Well, we got a letter just before the Easter holidays saying about the PGCE, and I rang last week to say that I would like to speak to the head coordinator, but they haven't rang me back. So that's my to-do list for this week. But it really worries me that I'll read it to you, actually. It's right here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm all a bit breathless. I didn't think I was going to get
That's
on.
all right. I'll tell you what else you can do as well. You're more than welcome to read it. I'm not saying don't read it at all, but if you could send me a copy, that would be fantastic.
This sentence here. However, there is no right to withdraw students from relationships education at secondary level. We believe the content of these subjects are important for children to be taught. So that's just at the end of this sort of long letter of stuff that no parent is going to take really any notice of it unless you're like me, who's like, burp, burp, burp. high alert for it.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of parents like me, sort of saying the parents that are in my son's class, I don't think they know what's going on. And I kind of want to gently make them aware of it rather than, although I know I need to be that mother and I'm going to be that mother and I'm going to go in and sort of make a fuss.
It's just so, the terrible thing is, I think, for children, for parents of children with special needs, is a lot of the people that you would look to advocate for your children, they've just totally abandoned you. They've
Mhm.
all switched to this nonsense. And I think I don't know how you do it.
It's just like the teachers have all got the little badges. They've all got their little badges on, and there's a couple of there's a couple of purple hair warriors that I'm kind of like, oh. I'm not concerned for my own child, although he does say some things that concern me, like, I wish I was. Oh, you can change from being a boy and a girl, and I'm like, no, the teachers are mixed up, man. You can't do that. So I'm just trying to keep it. He's only 6, so
Yeah, but where, like at 6, this is the terrible thing, isn't it? At 6
Yeah.
years old, your teachers gradually, like the more you go into school, they become like the font of all knowledge, don't they? They, I don't know how old, if that's your oldest, but I know certainly as my children go through, although I remained a little bit the boss of everything, but for lots of children, they become persuaded that their teachers know best.
Completely. He's autistic, so there's been things like learning phonics. So if I was to say, oh, the 2 O's together make the oo sound, no, it doesn't. He doesn't believe me until the teachers told him that. So that little bit there, that nugget of believing what the teacher says is real is highly concerning for how that actually, I really feel they are targeting autistic kids more than, it seems to be a bigger thing than in mainstream, because he was in mainstream for his first 2 years. So I've seen it on both. I can like see the difference, if you know what I mean.
I'll tell you what I think needs to happen, Lindsay. I think there needs to be an expose of what's happening in teacher training colleges. So I trained as a teacher, and on my course, I never taught because no way, I'm not doing that much hard work unless you absolutely love it. And I think teachers are amazing, but oh my God, I could never do it. But what I found is that there was a teacher on the course that was known to some of the people on my course as a Catholic who'd been touching children, paedophile, I think we call them, child molester.
That was another nice word for them as well.
Yeah. And he apparently had been moved around the parish, and now he's on a teacher training course. And obviously it was rumour, so we don't really know. But we know that back in the 90s that the Catholic Church would pass someone along rather than pass them to the police, and they would be dealt with by the.
Do.
Oh yeah, probably do. But so that was like even the teachers teaching the teachers knew about this man and the rumor, and nobody did anything about it. And so I'm thinking that is the place now where all these people coming out of university, they're all being indoctrinated, even if they didn't think it before, because not many of them have gone through school. So they're like the same age as my oldest. And so 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, they weren't learning this when they were 13 at school, because it wasn't in school yet. So it's really being taught at uni. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's being taught at uni, and then they're coming back and they're teaching it in school. So somebody has gone into university and told these teacher trainers and now these training teachers or trainee teachers that autism is more likely, as opposed to more vulnerable to, is more likely to be trans. And now it's sort of being fed back. So they're being told this, and now they're making it happen.
Yeah, and because teenage girls with autism do have this dissociation feeling from their body. They do have that feeling, but then they go, And then they get to, oh, come with us to the magic rainbow place and we'll fix you. No,
Yeah.
it's not going to fix you.
Yeah.
And it's happening on our watch is really.
And
I
there's
wanna
also
scream and
teenage
shout.
girls. Teenage girls will take a vulnerable, unpopular boy, and they will sometimes convince that boy that he is also a girl. Like there is I've heard too many anecdotal cases where girls sort of take it upon themselves, and they are, teenage girls can be a little bit tricky around bringing other people into whatever mess they're in.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh
So
yes.
yeah. But thank you so much. Will you send, like, if there's
I will
anything
bring
that
it
you...
on Sunday. How about that?
Oh, it'd be
I'll bring it
lovely
on
to meet
Sunday.
you. Be really lovely to meet you. And good night, Jack. I hope you're in bed now.
He's not. I've had to palm him off with something. He does not understand. I'm going to explain that I've TERF Talk Tuesday, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Thank you for everything you do, Kelly. You're just amazing.
You're welcome.
What a warrior. Thank you so much.
See you Sunday.
And see you on Sunday. Bye.
Cheers, lovely. Bye. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
It's with regard to your first caller and your comment that you made to him about would he be happy with your mother, with his mother, in a ward with men.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was in a stroke ward and she was assaulted by a male nurse. And
so
also
sorry.
I know, and on the same ward, this happened a few years ago now, but it's only come to light because of certain investigations. Another lady actually died as a result of rape, also on the stroke ward. And it came about because of a whistleblower. I did know about my mother at the time because she did tell me and she identified who was responsible. But because she was on some drugs that were causing her to hallucinate, it wasn't taken very seriously. And to my shame, I thought she'd misinterpreted something as well. But then as time has gone on, more and more stuff has been revealed. And it is now part of a huge police investigation. I've given statements saying no, that I can identify the person. And I have not now been contacted for about 4 months. And I'm going to have to start chasing them and making noise because it's absolutely appalling. And the worst thing about it was that I made them, because I did report it at the time, even though I wasn't 100% convinced, I made the report. And I've told the police that if they were to go through my mother's notes, they should be able to find my report and then triangulate it with who was on shift and what have you. And I've given a description of the person responsible. And they say they are not able to find that report because my mother's notes, she was in for 6 months, are like War and Peace. I said, well, I'll go through the notes. They said they don't want me to because then I might have a false memory.
What?
Yeah.
Well, if you read some notes, you'll have a false memory of the notes that were made at the time.
Yeah. And but what's become, more upsetting for me is that they have told me that they have discovered other instances in the notes where it was recorded that my mother was distressed because she was in a room on her own. They kept moving her around, but there was occasions when she was frightened to go to sleep, and they had to calm her down because she thought she was going to be assaulted again. Now, I witnessed terrible treatment on this stroke ward of women that couldn't move, and their food would be put in front of them, and then it would be taken away, and nobody would try and help them to feed themselves. And it's just so distressing to think of the women that were assaulted, and there's a lot, because they couldn't move, they couldn't get out of bed, they couldn't push somebody off, they couldn't shout, they couldn't do anything. And, I never thought about at the time that there was male nurses on the ward that were giving them bed baths and things. And then looking at the abuse that Henrietta Freeman has received on Twitter about her wanting same-sex care, it's just appalling, really. And I don't think a lot of people realise and you know, obviously not all men are bad. We're not saying that, but we are at risk from men, and we all know from being small children, our parents teach us not to accept sweets, not to accept a lift from somebody, stranger danger, and it is always about men. And as you get into a teenager and you start going out, you're careful about how you get home. You get your friends to make sure they see you go through the door before they drive off. You know, there's all the tactics that we all employ. Every single woman knows of the tactics that we employ to keep ourselves safe. And you would think in a hospital you would be safe, but we're not. And it just goes to show that we are not safe. And for people to say that trans women aren't a risk, well, I think they're more of a risk than men, you know, because they are a wolf in sheep's clothing.
100%. We did a survey, some research a couple of years ago now, maybe 3 years ago, with some loads of women that volunteered to do freedom of information. And there was only 2 hospitals in the whole country and not a single police force that differentiates between an actual woman working, this is staff, an actual woman, somebody who says they're a woman with a GRC, or somebody who just says they're a woman. And what we do know is that there was a man who fetished up in PVC nurses gear in his time, like on his nights out, and then became the head mental health nurse on a chronic kind of trauma ward, mental health trauma ward for women. And one of the first things he did is he moved his office down to where those women sleep. And there were 3 other women who must know the reason that many women end up with sort of profound psychosis and so on is through absolute terrifying trauma. And they all praised that man in a Zoom meeting. It's still on YouTube. It's in a Zoom meeting, and they praised him for moving. And he just talks like a regular bloke. I'm not saying that if he put an effort in, I'd think any differently. It's just, we know that predators will do whatever it takes to get to their prey. Why wouldn't they become a nurse? Why wouldn't they put on a dress?
They take advantage of it. I know somebody that works in A&E, and they get men coming into A&E with items that need to be removed, which they've done on purpose because it's part of their fetish to go to A&E and have them removed.
Well, that's not an image any of us wanted this evening, but thanks.
I know. And I've been in hospital in a female ward where there was a man in a wig in the next bed to me, and I felt unable to complain at the time, and so I just kept the curtain closed between us, you know. But it isn't right, and it's about time that men actually recognise how vulnerable we are and how vulnerable we do feel at times, instead of just dismissing us as being hysterical.
Well, what we're going to do, right, with the Party of Women and with repealing the GRA and all those things, is whether they understand or not, they are going to have to listen, because we are going to make it impossible to ignore women and our concerns. And we are going to make sure that in every single conversation where decisions are made about the safety of women, where compromises are made on our behalf, somebody is going to be there from now on, and they are going to make sure that that can no longer happen. That's the only way we're going to get any of this done. But I'm so sorry to hear about your mum.
I know, it's just awful. I mean, and like I say, the police really aren't doing anything, and I'm going to have to start making some noise. But I think your idea of the Women's Act is extremely good.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, no, I do. I think that's much better, because it's prioritising women, whereas the Equality Act doesn't prioritise women.
It's just such a jumble, isn't it? Oh, that, you know, like the religious freedom against LGBT rights, even. You know, those 2 things conflict, and I mean, who wins? Like it's just messy. I think I just like something that just protected women and girls, because we have different bodies, and if men want a men's act, that's entirely up to them. I would not be in opposition to that, but I would just like a women's act.
But it's also data collection. I have another friend who's a policewoman who recently had to make a report of a rape allegation, where a man had raped a biological woman who identified as a man.
Right.
And she had to write in the report, he put his penis in his vagina.
Jesus.
And, you know, she thinks it's ridiculous, but
Yep.
she's not allowed to say anything. She's not allowed to complain. She's got to keep quiet. She'd be fired. And it's totally wrong that data is being skewed, that people in the police and in hospitals and the NHS are all frightened to death of speaking out. It's wrong.
They are. It's horrendous. It's horrendous. Thank you so much for your call, and best of luck.
Thanks, Kelly.
Cheers.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Hello. Good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh my goodness, I made it.
You made it. Hi.
Hi. I called you several months ago under the name of Dragon Kid again, and I just wanted to get through a few housekeeping. First off, I'm invisible in your chat. I've been in your chat for several months, and I can see my own text, but nobody else can.
Really?
And that's only just in your chats.
And my chat on, I guess on YouTube.
Within your live chats? Yeah, I'm there pretty much every live chat. And the people that normally say hi back to me, hi TERF Spiky, hi, you've got TERF Mail. Yeah, they usually say hi back to me, and I checked within other live chats, and yeah, they see me. But I see my own texts, but nobody else does.
And is that just on my channel or other channels?
Just your channel.
And tell us again who you are.
Dragon Kitikin. Only one name. DRAGON, capital KITIGAN.
Okay, so I'll ask both my moderators if there's any reason for that. I have no idea why that's so odd.
Yeah, it is. And it happened shortly after I called you back in November, I think it was. Yeah.
So you called in, and then from then on, that's quite weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I just want to say I desperately, desperately want you to come to Canada. We are in such a bad way here. They're trying at every turn to keep us from freedom of assembly as long as we have vaginas. Freedom of assembly of vaginas seems to be illegal. And it's frightening. I'm terrified. I called a assaulted women's hotline many, many years ago. They were sort of a quote unquote, save the language, safe space for me.
Yeah.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
And I called them because I had been assaulted on 2 separate occasions by 2 different men.
Yeah.
Men pretending to be women. Because I'm a lesbian and we were the canaries in the coal mine. And while many gay men will say, "Oh, they never bothered us. We allowed them in our bars and everything," they weren't paying attention to the gay women who were being assaulted in these washrooms, along with Mitch Fest, Michigan Women's Music Festival, where Michigan Women's Music Festival was never trans exclusionary.
Yeah.
They allowed quote unquote trans men. They were always a part of Michigan's Women's Music Festival. It was the transsexual menace, which is what they were actually called. They were not called Camp Trans. Camp Trans was the squat that they took upon themselves across from the entrance of the Michigan Women's Music Festival, where they harassed women from the 80s, prior to the 80s, probably into the 70s, but in the 80s, where I witnessed a man spending far too much time in an outdoor shower, cleansing one part of himself far too long, while there were young children in that shower. So these SOBs have been invading our spaces for a very, very long time, and it's nothing new. Julie Bindel can cry all she likes for 12 years. I've had 4 decades of this crap.
Yeah.
So, you know, I understand people getting a little bit tired of this, but try it for 44 decades. Try it for 5 decades.
I mean, I often say that about, I say about, I can't imagine what it must be like. And obviously for yourself, as well as, you know, Sheila Jeffries, who's, you know, been saying, hey, this is going to happen. This is happening. Look at these people, look at these people, look at these people. And everyone's just totally ignored it. And now we're at this place.
And I thank you. I know many lesbians will shoot me in the gut for saying this, but because I acknowledge a straight woman who kind of looks like Marilyn Monroe and wears lipstick and dyes her hair and is a far better advocate for women's rights than, God, name one. Name one.
Well, you have to play the game a little bit.
Fabulous job.
Well, thank you so much.
I think you're doing a fabulous job. I admire you, and I really hope that Marco Mendocino, who is the MP who is trying to block you from coming into Canada, I really hope everyone will take it upon themselves to send him a copy of Trans, Helen Joyce's book, and every other MP. I can't afford it, but please, if anybody can do that, please send a copy to every MP in Canada. The anti-hate group that is funded by the government is slandering you to bits.
What's happened to your country? It's not just a little bit propaganda. I mean, I'm assuming that lots of people are persuaded by the propaganda. Loads of people are persuaded by the outright lies. And I mean, I wonder if Trudeau is going to become a little bit unraveled now, because there's quite a few things that he's really been caught out on, and it's sort of unavoidable that he's lied or misdirected. Do you think there's enough people that can see it?
There's too many people in love with the CBC.
Right.
The CBC is in our hearts, like the BBC used to be in your hearts.
Yeah.
But I dropped the CBC about 10 years ago because I saw them they reported an outright lie, and I just couldn't anymore. And I also boycotted Pride once it became, you know, corporate, and now this trans takeover has just made it even that much more worse. I mean, I try to do my best to go into the village and sticker the 519, which is the place where Susie Green and her lot sent someone over to do the what is it, the cotton ceiling?
Yeah.
The cotton ceiling.
Well, look, if I don't make it to Canada full on, if they block me, then I'm going to go to the nearest country, the nearest places over the border in America, and I will be having events there. And we'll just have to do it that way, because obviously if I can't get in your country, I can't get in. And I have had communication with them where they're demanding more and more information from me. So we shall just keep our fingers crossed, because something needs to happen. But if that does, then it would be lovely to meet you. But I've just asked both my lovely women, if you can't go in the chat, if you know anyone outside the chat, but they are looking. You're not on any list, Dragon K. So
Okay.
we'll keep looking out for you.
You too.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye, lovely. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I don't quite know what's happening with that. So good evening. This is Tough Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say you are, you don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh, hello. Am I through?
You are.
I'll turn my telly off so I don't hear you two times. Hello, it's Laurel from Glasgow.
Hi, Laurel from Glasgow. How are you?
All right. I didn't get to talk. There was loads of people still wanting to talk in Glasgow. You could come up here again sometime, or somewhere else in Scotland. We all like a tour.
Maybe. That sounds nice. But yeah, I mean, look, I've been looking. I've got Birmingham, then I've got London, then I've got Birmingham, then I've got Vienna and Geneva, then I've got London. Then
I know you're busy.
Crazy busy, but I do love Scotland. It is, it is pretty spectacular. And now you have an even worse leader than Sturgeon. So, well done.
Yeah, we're so lucky, yeah.
It's so crazy.
Well, I really do. That we all need to stand up and record our dissent now. I really am with you on the scrap the GRA. I think they've had their opportunity. They've had all these years, and really, without creating a third space, it compromises consent. Full stop.
Yeah, it does.
Because not all women are comfortable with it, and while one woman says no, the rest of the women can't.
Well, you just can't have female-only spaces that are or women-only spaces that include other people besides women. That's like going and putting my 4 pugs in a cattery when I go on holiday. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
It does seem to be. It's being picked up, more because I don't have much social media anymore. I kind of disconnected because it's unhealthy, but unfortunately, that's where the world is at the moment. And so I do sort of have a look at commentary and alternative people from around the world, and obviously Australia and New Zealand, because I might be here 25 years, but I'm still from there, and sort of look at it.
Certainly haven't lost your accent, have you?
No, I can't get rid of it. So yeah, just thought I'd call up again, and this is a part of recording my dissent, but obviously I'd like to stand up. Hopefully some people up here will end up running for you as well. Not me personally, but hopefully some women will stand.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I hope there's
quite frankly, there's no one to vote for, is there?
No, there is no one to. I mean, even on an intelligence point of view,
vote, really, isn't it?
I mean, look, I kind of feel right now like this is my number one issue. So this is the issue that I would sort of choose my vote. And actually, I've got to a point, and I got to a point a long time ago that if somebody couldn't even say what a woman was, then I couldn't trust them on anything. And I have no respect for people who either believe that women can have penises or say they believe that women have penises. And I think the latter is more likely. I don't think many people really believe it.
And neither of these two categories of people are fit for leadership.
Well, I just like as soon as I'm in a conversation with someone,
to be adults.
No.
I love the fact that you must be the only adult in many rooms that you're in.
This is quite true.
And common sense, let's make sense common again, for Christ's sake. It's like we all know what reality is. And
I'm going to steal that for a hat. Let's make sense common again. I'm stealing it. But lovely to talk to you.
No bother, you crack on and talk to some more lassies.
Cheers, lovely. All right, bye-bye.
And enjoy your tours. I'll see you in the future.
Okay,
Bye.
cheers, bye-bye. I think I just missed someone. Wow. nuts, isn't it? Just nuts. I just don't even know how we got here. It's just it's utterly too crazy. I'm gonna take another. Well, good morning. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay, and your name is.
Oh, did I get through?
You did get through. You don't have to say who you are, really. You can if you want to. What would you like to say?
My name's Teresa Van Leeshout. I'm in Australia.
Hi, Teresa. How you doing?
Oh, good, thanks. Well, not so good in some ways, but I have a YouTube channel, Teresa Van Leeshout, and I'm a leader of a federal political party, voterrightsparty.com.
Oh.
I'm really, I didn't get to know you, who you were, till after you were speaking in Australia, in Adelaide.
Right.
And I worked out who you were, but unfortunately, I would have loved to have been able to speak with you in public, but I didn't get to know who you were until after you were here, until you left.
Okay.
So,
what would you have said?
Well, I've been a qualified teacher for 27 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I worked as a high school teacher for 20 years, and in primary schools as well, teaching physical education and social sciences. And when I was teaching in the classroom, this trans ideology wasn't really that prevalent, but I've since become political since then. And unfortunately, I've been violently treated by the government. I get censored a lot, and my Facebook got shut down. And I got thrown in prison as well for 7.5 months, and then a further 8.5 months home detention.
Why?
For political free speech and communication and rights. And I'm still going through a district court trial, and it's all related to free political communication and free speech and political rights. And so, yeah, I've had a difficult time, and I'm supposed to be treated as a highly respected member of society, but the Commonwealth government brought charges against me and for my political views, and my group tried to get the lockdown politicians arrested in Australia, the federal and state lockdown politicians, because they're just so corrupt and criminal over here that, we, even before the lockdowns, we decided that they deserved to go to prison. But unfortunately, they turned on our group, and we got arrested and locked up. I wanted to congratulate you on your work, and I'm just so pleased that you're speaking out for women's rights. I've often spoken out for women's rights on my YouTube channel on Facebook, and sadly, I have a male partner, and sadly, I've been labelled a little bit as a man hater.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard some of your calls when they come in and they're trying to accuse you of the same thing. But it's so important because what you're doing is so important on so many levels, because there's a lot of violence against women coming from the government.
Yeah.
And when I was locked up, I also worked as a prison guard for a year as well, 10 years before I was locked up in Western Australia. That was another time I was locked up for fighting to abolish the fine system, because it's just a disgusting, violent fine system where the fine system where the states make billions of dollars of revenue and they just violently destroy people's rights. There's a lot of Aboriginal women locked up in prisons and in the children's prison, Aboriginal children, and it's a genocidal factors going on there, and a lot of vulnerable women get locked up, and a lot of this violence comes from the government men. Men dominate our parliaments, men dominate our police, and this violence that women suffer on a political level is very real and very damaging and very disgusting, as well as I fully support what you're doing with the trans ideology as well, with the mutilation of children's bodies and
Yeah.
You know, it's just and puberty blockers, and they're trying to destroy the reproduction of children, and it's just absolutely horrifying and disgusting. And I wouldn't be allowed to teach in the classroom. They don't let me teach in the classroom anymore because of my political work, but I would be objecting to that sort of thing anyway. I wouldn't be out of my moral conscience. I wouldn't be able to teach in the classroom because I'd be objecting to that sort of thing. Yeah, so I wanted to congratulate you on so many levels for just what you're doing. And also I wanted to ask you if you've ever heard of an organisation called Women Declaration International. Have you heard of an organisation called that?
Yes.
Okay, I've joined that, and just wondering if you're interested in joining that, because they'll be promoting their work as well publicly.
Well, I run Standing for Women, and I have a couple of other things that I do, and I'm just about to run for Parliament, so I don't actually have time to join any other groups, but they do some great work, and I'm sure you're in a great company in such a valuable global resource. But thank you so very much for your call this evening, and I wish you all the best. And please, no more days in prison. I think that would be a small
I've
request.
got restrictions. I'm going through a district court trial, and I've got social media restrictions, and I'm not allowed to upload any more videos to YouTube or Facebook or the internet at the moment. But my lawyer's trying to get those bail conditions altered. I've just been persecuted politically so terribly, and I would have loved to have spoken with you in Adelaide.
Well, I might come back
to Australia again.
I would love to come to Australia. I loved it. I mean, aside from some of the obvious terrible things, but I absolutely loved it. But so nice to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the work you're doing, Kellie-Jay.
You're welcome. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, God, you just don't. It's just unfathomable, isn't it? Hello, good morning. This is Tough Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say what you want. You don't have to. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
I'd like to say hello, Kellie-Jay from Brisbane, Australia. This is Kelly-Ann, starring the Queen.
Hi, Kelly-Ann. How are you?
I'm good. I'm that crazy loudmouth that followed you to Melbourne.
I don't know. You seemed awfully quiet when I met. Shy and retiring, I might have even say.
Oh, man, wasn't that a party, hey, Melbourne?
It was, so good.
It was crazy. But I've got my live footage up, and I've backed that up now, because in my footage you can clearly see not one woman interacted with those so-called Nazi can-can dancers.
Yeah. It was so. I mean, we knew though, didn't we?
Getting closer.
We knew it was. I just feel the further away we get from that event, the more just absolutely weird, like set up weird, like really constructed, orchestrated. Dodgy. Yeah, really dodgy.
Very, very dodgy. And it wasn't that I got contacted via Twitter because I hadn't watched my own footage back, you see.
Oh.
Because I'd got back to the hotel, watched your footage, and, I hadn't watched my own back. And this guy sort of said to me, can you watch your footage back? Is there any chance that you can back it up on a hard drive? Because you clearly show in your footage. And there's some guy's done an article where he's looked at the Indian guy, Rasheen, I think his name is, from Melbourne, my footage, and some TRA's footage. And he says those three pieces go together like a puzzle and tells exactly what happened on that day.
Oh. Well, maybe we could get someone to cut it about and do both things, like some people who've got loads of time, they can put the two things together.
Yeah, well, I started recording, Kellie-Jay, about an hour before you got there because everything was already ramping up. Like, I got a few small bits of just when the TRAs were over on the stairs with us pushing the women around, and I thought, I've got to start recording now. I can't wait for you to get there. I've got to record all this now. And that's when it dawned on me. My job that I went to Melbourne was to be another set of eyes, to try to catch all the other stuff. So I got the birthers and the guy, the wiggy guy, and yes, I did kick him when he was down for grabbing my tripod. And someone's done a hit piece on me on Twitter saying that I was like a militant copper the way I kicked this lady while she was down. Like that was a dude. That was definitely a dude who grabbed the microphone, went back. That was a man, 100%. Because as he went past, he grabbed my tripod, and he would not let go. Like I've had to give him a good stomp to get it away from him. And Rashid got that footage of me actually getting the stomp in. Because I'm like, what are you doing? But here's the thing. Wiggy guy, he took his photo camera phone out and filmed the birthers. They were together. They were all together. So
they filmed the who? Sorry, I'm so sorry. They filmed the birthers.
Yes.
Oh, the stupid people with the paint. Yeah.
Yes. So the woman that came down and started grunting and making the noise, and I called them the birthers. He got his phone out and recorded that himself. And
I think there were quite a few people with them. I think there were. And what's really weird is that the grabbing microphone thing is really, really coincidentally at the same time or just before those men came and got marched by the police. So it was something like we were all distracted looking at that, and then we look up and that's happening. It was quite surreal. I assumed they were being led off. It's so weird.
Yes, it was a trigger. It was a let's go and action. And my theory, and this is just my opinion and just my theory and just my going over what I've seen, is those chain of events. First they do that, and they must have been all from the same university or college or something. And then the wiggy person who grabbed the microphone, and you can see in my footage, there were 3 men who rushed, Wiggy and 2 other men. And one of those men knocked down that little lady, the little 22-year-old, and knocked her unconscious. But it was 3 people who ran that microphone, not one.
It's absolutely nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But yeah, well, let us know as soon as that. Tell people where they can go and find your footage.
Yeah, so my footage is on my channel. It's a little turfy Brisbane channel called Stone the Crone. And I started, as I said, about an hour before you get there. So there's a lot of, I end up realizing my job is to focus on what's going on, not just the speakers, because you do that. So,
yes.
Yeah, I felt a real need in my soul to go to Melbourne, a soul that I have with my body. It cannot float without my body, as in my meat suit is the antenna for it. But I just felt a need that I had to be there for some reason, and I drove my husband crazy with this idea that I had
Well,
to
I'm
be
so pleased you were, and I look forward to that footage. But thank you so much, and lovely to talk to you.
Okay, you too, Kellie-Jay. Be good. Bye.
Cheers, lovely. Bye. Oh, quite a few little Aussie calls today, which is nice. I'm going to take one more call. And hopefully I won't need one of these because I have enjoyed this. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Tuesday. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hey.
Hi.
I want to say hello. My hand is breaking off. And listen, I am that raging lesbian that first guy was claiming that you are.
You're the raging lesbian. Well, hi. You don't sound very ragey to me.
I don't? Well, I'm so glad to talk to you anyway. But there must be a trick about how to get through, because I didn't actually start before you started, but I've certainly been busy. The problem is I can't hear what you're talking about when I keep trying to.
I'm so sorry. Look, I don't know what to do about it. I eventually will have some lovely person answering phones and putting people on hold. But at the moment, it's just me, and my technical prowess is is known to be quite shocking.
Well, it's okay. You're doing great. And I just think that you're making such a change in the world. It's just marvelous. Pardon me. I was born in 1941. That makes me 82 years old. And I have been, your ability to do whatever it is you're doing with lipstick and all the rest of it. I just love you. I was so heartbroken to see you in New Zealand. It was just, when I tuned it in, you were still in the car, you were just starting it, and I could tell that you weren't feeling good before it even started. But
I just knew. I think sometimes we know, don't we? And I just knew.
Yes. And the fact that you have 4 children and a lovely husband, I think because of who you are able to speak to women all over the world in a way that nobody else can. Or, well, yeah, nobody else
No,
can.
we'll stick with
This is
nobody
the
else.
time.
I'll take that.
Well,
Thank
good.
you.
Most of my relatives came from your neighborhood. So I'm really happy to get to know you in the way that I'm doing. I'm from the States. And it's actually, right now I'm in Mexico, but I live in Oakland, California, and I wasn't able to be at any of the places where you were in the States. And I did, oh God, I was just telling somebody else who doesn't know anything about it, about how Los Angeles and San Francisco in particular, was so boring. I mean, like nobody was there except those people with the pumpkins and stuff. But then I did see you at Tacoma, and oh God, having talked to her on when I tune into WDI every weekend, and I was able to chat with her for a few minutes about how she was doing and that kind of stuff. You've just done, you make the world a different place. And I'm so happy about that, especially because my daughter, who is a middle-aged person, has been in a therapy group recently, and she's becoming a TERF. It is just wonderful. I mean, it's painful for her because she's learned so much in this therapy group, and what she's learned is how to speak out. And they were saying that the people in the group had to give their preferred pronouns, and she just went, I don't want to do this. I'm a girl. I'm a woman. I've been living as a woman. I am a woman. Blah blah blah. Anyway, what happened then? She wrote to the staff, said how she felt. That happened again, but she was getting more and more raging, I would say, about it. And then she wrote the third one, and guess what? They said she couldn't come anymore. She wasn't participating correctly.
Revolting.
This is a place that is in Oakland, California. They're just nuts. They've drunk all the Kool-Aid, everything that they're drinking, and they're in a place with vulnerable people who are learning to in my daughter's space, learning to talk and say the things that she's scared to say. And fortunately for both of us, we're thank you for thanking whoever it is that makes this phone, and for us to be able to talk, like to you too, and to my daughter. And I gave her the several things that have you in them, and the last one was your talk with Megan Murphy. No, Megan
Kelly.
I get him confused. Kelly, yes, Megan Kelly and Kellie-Jay. And when she finished it, she came back to me and said, "That's just what I need to hear." Blah blah blah. It was just so wonderful to be able to connect that way.
I tell you what it is. It comes from I don't care whether I'm liked, and I think that's meant that I've always been able to say things
Yeah.
that other people want to say but
Yeah.
don't say, and I sort of feel, and also I think I'm very lucky. Some people get to do it, and it's sometimes through nice things, sometimes through not nice things, sometimes nurture, and sometimes just nature. And there are some people that just
Yeah.
stick to their instincts, and we don't rationalize them. And I'm very lucky that I trust how I feel above everything. And it
Yeah.
it served me well. But I'm so
It comes through.
oh, thank you so much. But what a delight that you and your daughter, now you can get some stickers, go turfing together. I'm just about to.
Oh, right. I do actually. I have some. I have a few left that I've got here with me, and I don't know how fast she's going in terms of this because she's been through a really difficult time in these last couple of years and a terrible divorce. And anyway, it opened our relationship in a wonderful way because
Aw.
she's given me permission to talk about it, to write about it, to see who I can connect. And
Yeah.
I talk to the WDI women every weekend, and I just got a thing saying we don't give. We're sorry to hear it, but we don't give legal advice. And I really am not looking for legal advice. I want people to know that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And if her experience gets into another group of women who are experiencing this kind of thing, then that's a wonderful thing.
Totally. And just being able to speak, like you said, there's really strong connections with all sorts of women across political and
Yeah.
social and cultural boundaries that we're now just appreciating that actually being a woman is a pretty wonderful thing. And just being able to say, hey,
Yeah,
we
it
know
is.
that no woman has a penis, suddenly becomes like the best thing you've ever heard and the best thing you've ever said, because you can say it without hesitation, and it's pretty damn
Yeah.
wonderful. But I'm so pleased for you and your daughter. And best of luck to both of you. And
Thank you very
you are
much.
my last call this evening. But so lovely to talk to
Oh, that's
you.
wonderful. I'm so glad you held on. Oh, great.
Thanks.
Love you. Take good
Oh,
care of your everything. And I hope I get to talk to you again.
me too. Thanks so much. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Ah, lovely people. I could go on all night, but weirdly started going to bed at 9 o'clock, and now it's past my bedtime, and I've seen that there's somebody from Switzerland that has phoned repeatedly, and I feel terrible because I am going to go to Geneva anytime soon. But time is up. If we keep having turf talks like this, I might have to do it twice a week so that more of you can get through, because I feel that sometimes it's really important just to say those words out loud and for everybody to hear. Really, really important. But look, I'm not going to lie. I loved everybody calling this evening. I totally love this. I feel I might get these a bit more. We need a chat room. Yeah, look, there's many things that we're doing here. Let me just tell you some of the things we're doing here. We're going to do turf aware. We're going to do like home parties. We're going to do special little places so that our local groups. Look, the reason our local groups are phenomenal is that it comes with ready-made, world-renowned branding, so that before someone approaches you, they know exactly what you stand for. Because whether anybody likes it or not, this is the most recognizable, visible campaign in the world on this issue, retaining women's rights for just women. I mean, look, I don't want to be immodest, but it's true. And I don't really care. I'm quite happy to be totally and utterly immodest on this, because we have worked very, very hard to ensure that our messaging is plain and simple and everybody can hear it. So, oh, good. I can now no longer hear my own voice. Right. We're doing that. We're opening branches so that people can more easily get our merchandise, and so we can also help women earn income by getting our products out there. It's super exciting. We are moving studio. We are I'm going to try and do like European countries. So I'm going to do Geneva and Vienna in one weekend. I think I can probably do maybe Milan, Barcelona in one weekend, maybe Paris and Berlin in one weekend. So we can really start motoring. And I'm going to do the same for the UK. There's no reason that I couldn't do. I'm going to do Birmingham on one weekend, but there's no reason that I maybe couldn't do, I don't know, Sunderland and Leeds in a weekend. It just all depends on trains or travel, so that we can really start encouraging all women all the time to come and join in, be part of it, see why it's important. These are all the things that we're going to do. So if you can, just one moment, callers. No. Is that the right person? I think I've just accidentally blocked someone. If you can stand and be counted and literally go and be a political candidate, and you are willing to take that risk, then I promise we will win. If you can ignore, I've put someone else in timeout instead of this person. If you can ignore silly men that are trying to take your attention, or just block them, which I don't even care that they know that they're blocked, then I promise we will win. If you can keep coming to this almighty constituency of women, this community that we're building, this genuine grassroots, no permission, no submission, little culture that we are building here, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Because I never lose.